So I figured I'd start on the bottom with an overview, kind of everything that we've kind of modified and changed and done, at least the most that I can kind of remember. I guess I'll start with the front. We added those 3 brackets there to hold the intercooler up, and so it's hidden pretty good. We had to do that, cut that out. We had to weld those up and just angle them, and we attached it. What else? Let's see, what else did we do here? We made this little special piece here to where the downpipe would clear. So the old man had to weld and make this piece here because we changed it from a power steering to a rack and pinion, and so it would clear the downpipe. That's the reason why he cut that off and did it, so that there's enough room for the downpipe, because the downpipe doesn't come exactly down the center here. It's off to the side. So we had to push up the pan just a little bit, and he had to make this custom piece. So he cut like a little slot in it. We had to take the boot and everything off and slide the piece over, and just so it'll clear. So he had to modify that. There's a lot of stuff on the back in the turbo. We use PVC piping to for the turbo and all that, and it works, it boosts. I don't have a boost gauge set up yet, but we had to do a little modifying to the manifold and all of that. And there's this piece here that, let's see, I don't know if I can get it. There's a piece up here, if you can kind of see that. We had to weld that to the steering rack. We welded it because the adapter piece that we created was just a little bitty spline, so we didn't want all that pressure to be on, so we kind of welded it to that. So if I ever have to replace this, I got to take all that out and do something different, but we kind of modified and did that. As far as the back goes and the top of the car, there's no real mods here. Went ahead and replaced the track bar here. I got to get an alignment when I get the exhaust on it, which is coming up Thursday. Placed the fuel pump, nothing exciting there. Got all that. I actually got to take it back out. We're going to put a V8 fuel pump in it because I think this one's not enough. So, and the reason I say that is because when I went up top and I took it down the highway, there was no exhaust and all that on it either. So this thing, the timing isn't set and all that too, but took it down the highway, and at the higher RPMs, it's like the pull just kind of stopped. So it could be the fuel pump not putting enough pressure to it. So we're going to hook up a fuel gauge when I get the exhaust and get the timing set. And we're going to go ahead and check it out and see if the fuel pressure is dropping off. And if it is, we'll just change out the fuel pump. We got a much better one. Changed out the sway bar bushings today. Nothing exciting, nothing fancy there. We did drill a hole in this guy here, if it'll focus a little bit better, in the bottom of the pan, and we used a bit there so that we can drain it out, so you can change your fluid. This actually might need to come back out, and we need to put some thread sealer in it. It seeps just a little bit, so but we pretty much do that with all of our transmissions. We drill holes and put screws in there and rubber and all that, and it seals them up so we can drain them easier. We didn't do any mods or anything to the front engine mounts or anything like that. There's no extra support, but I do have a bobble strut on it, so, and it works pretty good. But I got one for the top too that I'm going to put on. But yeah, the manual steering rack and all that worked out pretty good. It sits up there good. It's nice and tight. The tie rod ends and everything are nice and good. We didn't have to mod any of that stuff. We took out the power steering, as you can see, and all of that because we had to. It wouldn't clear with that downpipe there, so we got rid of the power steering. I got rid of the AC, so there's that. I'm waiting on a pulley from the auto parts store. I need to replace the timing belt tensioner pulley and replace this alternator belt, which I've got one of those already too. That's pretty much it, I think, for the underside. I mean, there's not a whole lot of changing. really just some mods and all that had to be done. So, yeah, hold on a second. Okay. So for the top, we pretty much kept, mostly everything for the most part. I guess it's stock. We're gonna change out this map sensor here. We're gonna change it to a 3-bar. Right now it's just the stock. I think it's a 2-bar. But see, that's all the clearance for the downpipe back there. And so when the engine rocks and stuff like that, I mean it's very minute, but it'll do. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a plug right back there on that downpipe, and I'm thinking that's where I'm going to put the AF gauge sensor. I'm thinking that some people have said 3-4 inches from the downpipe. It's pretty close, to the turbo, but I just want to make sure that that's good enough. So there's already a bung and there's already a bolt and all that stuff in there for it. So I guess I'm going to put the air fuel there. We'll see if it works. If it burns up the sensor too quick, then I'll probably move it farther back. But yeah, the timing belt, we got to get another timing belt tensioner, because when it's warm, the timing belt walks over this way, and then when it gets warmed up, it walks on the outside. So I got to change out the tensioner pulley, which, again, I'm waiting on that. We cut the top of the AC bracket off so that, we got more clearance, more room to do things with. Nothing real special here. It's just the standard wiring, standard radiator. We did have to, I don't know if you guys can see it in here. Probably not. Yeah, well, you can probably see it from under here. We had to bend the hood release latch thing there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see. We had to bend it. If you can see that bend right there, had to bend it so it'll fit and we could attach it. We just reused the same thing, so we did that. We did a little modifying. I painted it so it wouldn't rust. We got a little leakage because it overflowed, but nothing's leaking on the car. I gotta take it to work and clean it. The fan, we use the plumbing up here, and I might later on down the line actually move this battery to the back of the car. I kept it up front, 1, because it would fit, but 2, for the extra weight. So I might end up moving it and then bringing this pipe down to where it gets colder air, because it gets kind of warm up here, and I don't know, but it works. It works. It boosts good. I don't really have any problems with it. We got to hook up the rest of the relays and all that, but nothing fancy was done here. We had to rewire all of this stuff because this is a SMEC setup now. So we converted all of that. This was a SBEC. We changed it to the SMEC. So I don't think I said that right. Yeah. So we changed that, converted that. That was a fun time. Nothing else has really been kind of modified. It's got the 3.3 throttle body on it. We ported out just the mouth of the one-piece intake to where there's no jagged, air going in there. We didn't port the whole thing out because it really doesn't need it. Of course, everyone will argue and say 2-piece is better and you got to port out the whole 1-piece. Well, you know what? Every car runs different, and this one actually runs really hard. So, and nothing's even set, no timing or nothing. So, with the intercooler and all of that, actually I'm not covering that up. We basically just went down through the frame there. We didn't go through the main core support. We just cut it down there. I don't know if there's any good dealio going on there. It's kind of hard to see, but both pipes are stacked. So we kind of did that. We didn't go through, like I said, the main core support, and we was able to fit it out. We took the airbag module out, and we just kind of cut a hole, and we got rubber in place and everything there, so nothing rubs or wears holes in it. I didn't really need the airbag sensor in there, so because we didn't want to route the a lot of people come over from the other side and route it, but we decided not to do that. So that, and it makes it cleaner and easier to work on in the front. With this one piece, this was a non-turbo, so we had to add like a charged temp sensor, and we had to, I think the knock sensor was over there, so we had to cut out and tap and everything and add the charge temp sensor and all that in this one. What else do we modify? Really, man, not too much. I'm thinking about getting a different fuel pressure regulator. Like I say, there's some higher end RPM problems, so we'll have to figure out what the problem is. But you know, it runs and everything works right now. We hooked up all different, you know, we did some vacuum lines. We did change the fuel rail to the quick connect on the fuel injector rail. We ended up changing those to quick connects, so they're easier to change out instead of those stupid fucking clips. So we changed those out. That, and the other one was actually starting to, from all the heat and over the years and how old the old injector wire harness was, it was just brittle and hard, so we ended up getting rid of all of that. You know, for the most part, I mean, that's it. I mean, this transmission is the same one that was in the car already. It's the 523. This is an 89. This is out of an 89 Daytona, this engine. So it's a 2.2 block with a 2.5 crank in it. And it's basically a 2.5, 2.6. It's bored out 20 over. And it's got 20 over pistons, Wiseco full floating racing pistons. I'm not 100% sure on the cam, on the lifting duration. I know it's a roller racing cam, high performance cam. It's got an MLS head gasket on it. I'm running the 20 plus 20 injectors at the moment, which I think this computer is a stage 3 from front wheel drive, and I think it only required the 804 injectors actually. But I'm using the plus 20, so it runs a little rich, which I'd much rather have a little rich than a little lean. Yeah, the block is pretty much, you know, nothing fancy there. We did have some leaking here. There was this little guy here that we didn't have the gasket on it, and so we kind of put the gasket on. I think it's fixed. It's still a little wet, but it could be the radiator fluid and all that on it. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to take this thing to work, clean it up, and make sure there's no leaks and stuff. But we also created this bracket here for this thing so that it could hold the actuator, because the way the turbo was set up was a pain in the ass, which I've got pictures of all those, but you know, we had to create that to hold the actuator back there. So we did that. That was a modification. A handful of things been welded and crafted, but overall though, man, this had a stock 2.2 in this thing, and we kind of you know, we kind of just did what we did. It's an eBay intercooler that I'm rolling with, and you know, everyone says eBay doesn't sell things, but I got it off of eBay. It's kind of a no-name intercooler setup. This is what my brother already had, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna use it. So it's probably pretty good actually. This blow-off valve might be a little bit of an issue, but it still pulls really hard. I don't know, I might change it to something different right now. I'm poor though, you know. I don't have a lot of money, so I've been actually sinking all of my money into this car. But yeah, as far as that, I mean, hell dude, there's not much. It's been, you know, it's probably roughly been about a month's worth of time, you know, if you can compile it all together. So we've been working on this since early February, you know, setting up the engine and everything. But we did all that. We had to change the throttle cable and all that stuff today too, so we had to make that work. We had to change a few things and add a few things and all of that, but you know, overall, I mean, it works. So if somebody wanted to copy this, you know, you can get it done. And there's some other things I'd like to change. We're not fully done with everything, as you can see. Like, some of the wires aren't fully taped up and done yet, and you know, but it's not really interfering with anything. So, you know, but you know, we got pretty much all the vacuum lines and all that stuff hooked up, and Heat still works in the car, but hell, we don't need it right now. But this will be a fair weather car only. I did have to add down here though, and thanks to Bob, I needed this other end for this plug, but we had to adapt that and we had to make that and attach it in for the distributor and all of that. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, it works out. Like it works and it runs fairly good. So, like I said, there's bugs we got to work out. I mean, I haven't really had a chance to. I got no plates on it, no insurance yet, but I'm about to. So, I just got to get the exhaust and I'm gonna get it inspected, and then I can start rolling it and working out the bugs and setting timing and all of that, and you know. And then I'm gonna eventually upgrade to the Stage 5 front wheel drive, and I already got the plus 40 injectors. I'm gonna change those out, and then once I switch over to the V8 fuel pump, I should be okay. And then I'll get all my gauges. I got the gauges in the house. I just don't have them in there right now because as this thing sets up right now and as it is right now, I don't really need them. It would just be nice to have the tack and the boost in there, but I don't have it in there right now, so it's stock as a rock on the inside of the car. So, but, you know, that's okay though. I mean, it still runs good. Stock as a rock. People won't mess with it. You know, I added a radio down there and... you know, I got a few other things. I got to clean up the carpets and all that. I found those carpets and these mats from the job, but I got speakers and stuff covered up back there. But you know, nothing super fancy. I mean, you know, nothing extravagant. But it has been a work in progress, and been working on it for a long time. But yeah, if you guys got any questions on ideas on things or whatever, you know, let me know. I'd like to see other people's videos because I don't see too many people talking about overviews and everything that they've done, just maybe quick snapshots and stuff like that. But, you know, let's get some videos going of our cars, guys. Let's do it. So, but, yeah, I mean, that's how it looks, man. Stock as a rock. I got to repaint it. I got to do some painting to it. It looks like crap. But, I did some brush painting, and you see it's starting to rust out and bleed back in again, so I'm just going to get some white paint. I don't have money this year. It's probably going to be a couple years before I can get this car painted and actually restored. I plan on restoring this car, so. But if you look down there, unless you really know what you're looking for, you can barely see that intercooler in there, so this is definitely going to be a sleeper. A lot of people won't see this one coming. And look at this old piece of crap car and think, oh yeah, it just looks, it's a piece of crap. And then, yeah, you get to beating some people. But I debadged it for the most part. The only thing that there's a Sundance in there on the dash. But there's no emblems really, except for the front. I debadged it. There's no emblems. I might change out the taillights and all that, but as you can see, I got this crude paint on it, and you know, just to patch up the rust so it doesn't rust through. Like I said, I got to touch it back up again. I did it last year before winter, and it's starting to bleed back through a little bit. But and somehow, some way, someone right there punched a hole or something in, so we filled it with silicone for the time being, so it didn't leak. Because someone punched that hole in right there. So I don't have the headliner in this car yet, but pretty much all the other panels are pretty much in, all on the floors and stuff. But you know, it's all, for the most part, it looks like a piece of crap, kind of. But I like it, so. Yep, that's pretty much everything I've done. I've added amps and all that stuff in the back, but, you know, for the performance-wise, that's what this is. So, let me go with you. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Jeez, this video is so long. All right, I'm done.